Hey y'all, I'm Carrie.
And I'm Mandy.
And this is Monstrous.
And this is our spooky episode.
So this legend is a mysterious and very eerie tale that brings you a sense of fascination and fear all at the same time. It may just leave you wanting to know exactly what other kind of supernatural terror may be hiding inside the Alps. And if it does, you simply may have to take a look at the Legends from the Alps, an exhibit at the Swiss National Museum in Zurich. That's right. This legend takes us all the way to Switzerland, the home of the Sinantucci. The Sinantucci, still today, is one of the best known and most fascinating legends from the Alpine area. This tale embodies the dark side of humanity, the creativity that comes out of human boredom and loneliness. The original tale is from the German-speaking Alpine region folklore. In Liechtenstein, it's called, I'm probably going to say this word wrong, the Guschig Herdman's Doll. And in Switzerland, it's called the Sinantucci, which is what most people call it. The territory for which this story is widely known ranges from Germany's Bavaria to, of course, Switzerland, Austria, and then lastly, Italy's South Tyrol. There are several versions of the tale, but they all have the same central point and ending. Because, each area and region kind of add their own twist to it. So since 1839, the Sinantucci has been featured in several entertainment pieces, including a poem in 1839 called, I'm going to say this wrong, Die Drei Melker, a play in 1972, which I don't have the name for, a movie in 1986 called Die Wilde Frau, another movie in 1989 called The Succubus, Den Teufel I'm Lieb, that's probably wrong, and the last that I could find is from 2010, and it's called The Sinantucci. But the tale has gained more mention since our modern culture has taken over, because more people are into, the creepy, spooky stuff. So in the mid-1980s, the Radischtchen Museum received a donation, and the donation was identified as a genuine Sinantucci. This, of course, helped the tale gain more attention and made more people believe this tale to be true. Because until the donation, it was believed to just be a tale. This doll is the only one known to still exist today.
Oh, wow. It's almost like an Annabelle doll.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yep. The exhibit of the doll has a sign outside the entrance that states, "This exhibit contains photos which may not be suitable for children." And the curators of this exhibit were not kidding. In the exhibit is a showcase glass with a crude and extremely creepy thing inside of it. And just seeing it is enough to bring anyone nightmares.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to show you a picture of it.
Great. Thanks.
You're welcome. This is the Sinantucci that was donated inside of its case.
What in the hell? What?
That's a better picture of it.
It looks like a jacked up voodoo doll.
Isn't it creepy?
Yeah, it's weird.
So now for the legend of the Sinantucci. In the high Alps, groups of herdmen spent long summers tending to cattle on top of the mountain. They were men, so of course they got lonely, even though there were at least 3 of them. They can't be by themselves.
Right.
So they spent their days wishing for a female companion. And so they decided out of boredom that they would create one.
Oh.
These group of men would use wood, straw, cloth, and other materials to create her. They fed her, talked to her, made sure to keep her groomed. Sounds like a bunch of men just playing with a doll out of boredom.
Right.
But it's darker than that. These men treated this doll like they had created a common plaything. They abused her in multiple ways, which I'm sure you could imagine. So this is where the tales differ some. In one version, the men would abandon the doll in the elements when it came time for them to take the cattle back down the mountain. The doll would then come to life and take out her revenge for being treated poorly and then abandoned. But in the most commonly found version, one day during dinner, the doll comes to life in response to her treatment. So she just sits up and starts talking while they're eating dinner.
Creepy.
For the remainder of that summer, she plays her part. She performs the tasks in which she was created for, helps the herders with the cattle. But when it comes time for the men to leave the mountain, it's clear that the doll won't be going with them because most of these men had families at the bottom of the mountain. She becomes angry and demands that one of the herdsmen stay with her. And somehow, whether she chooses it, they decide, they're picked at random, whichever one of them is chosen to stay behind. The other two men return down the mountain the next day. As the other two herdsmen are leaving the mountain, legend says that they look back at the hut that they were staying in, and they watch as the Sinintunchi spreads the freshly flayed skin of their fellow herdsman over the roof, and she looks at them and laughs.
Demented. Wow.
And it's believed to be real because a genuine Sinintunchi was donated to a museum.
That is creepy. That's morbid.
Yep. And that's the tale, the legend of the Sinintunchi.
Leave it to you to find this one. That's crazy.
And there,
could you imagine?
Oh, no.
Turning around and seeing that?
I'm good. No, thank you.
Yeah. No.
Could you imagine me eating dinner and your doll just sits up?
Just sits up and like, hey,
what's up, guys?
No, I'm good.
No, thank you, sir. That's all you, guy.
No, I'm
Have
good.
fun with that. But yep, that's the Sinintunchi. That doll is creepy as fuck, isn't it?
I know, like seriously, just sitting up and being like, hey.
Like, could you imagine your child coming home playing with that fucking doll?
No, I'm good.
Burn it. Throw it in the burn barrel.
Yeah.
Right now.
It reminds me of the Annabelle doll.
Mm-hmm.
Creepy. Or Chucky.
Or like the Raggedy Ann dolls. Oh, those are so creepy.
I used to have those when I was little.
Those are creepy. I loved them as a kid. But like, now as an adult.
Now you look back at them, yeah.
Those are creepy looking. Yeah, like, I know it's all cloth, but still.
Yeah.
There's one story that this kid had a Raggedy Ann doll. Maybe it was the boy one. Either way, he had one of them. And it was said to be haunted. It's supposed to be like in Ed and Lorraine Warren's fucking museum.
Oh, it is. It is. If you watch their video, or if you watch their movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, see, I've never watched
one of them's in. Yeah, watch them. One of them's in there.
Oh my god. Ooh. So the second tale that I have for this week's Halloween spooky episode isn't one that will give you goosebumps or make you think twice about buying that creepy doll you saw. Instead, it's one about an urban legend, one we all know, if not most of us know very well. One many of us have tried as young teenagers. I'm about to tell you about two women that could be the woman in the mirror when you bravely go in with no lights and chant her name. So most of us know how to summon Bloody Mary. But for those of us that don't, all you do is go into a dimly lit bathroom, stand in front of the mirror, and chant her name 13 times. If you've done all of this right, a ghostly woman will appear inside the mirror. She sometimes appears alone, and other times she's holding a baby. Oftentimes, she's just standing there and stares at you. But occasionally, she'll leap from the glass, either scratching you or even killing the one that summoned her. Depending on where you live, there's another version of this urban legend. It is similar, but in this version, you go into the bathroom with a lit candle, turn the lights out, say Bloody Mary 3 times, and she appears to either kill you, scratch your eyes out, or pull you into the mirror to be trapped inside with her forever. But where this legend actually comes from, no one truly knows.
Right.
Because, urban legends change and grow depending on where you live and years pass.
Uh-huh.
But the biggest belief for the inspiration behind Bloody Mary and the classic summoning trick comes from Mary Tudor, who was also known as Queen Mary, the first Queen of England. Her nickname was Bloody Mary, and she became known to this due to her reputation during her reign. So, a little backstory. Mary Tudor was born on February 18th, 1516, to King Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon. Though her childhood did not look as though she would ever become queen, because back then you were just the wife to the king. You didn't actually rule the country.
Right.
So her father was extremely desperate for a male heir. Once he realized her mother would never give him one, King Henry VIII declared the marriage to Catherine illegal because she had been briefly married to her brother. But King Henry's real intention, and I'm sure everyone will recognize this, was to marry Anne Boleyn. Following his marriage to Anne Boleyn, he tore England away from the Catholic Church and created the Church of England. Mary was then declared illegitimate and went from princess to lady and was further tormented by being separated from her mother. She was allowed to live inside the castle, but she was no longer a princess. She was a lady instead. So she watched as her father married again and again. After he executed Anne Boleyn, he married Jane Seymour, who died in childbirth.
Dang.
He then went on to marry 4 other times.
4 more times?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
His 4th marriage was to Anne of Cleves, which ended in divorce. He then married and executed his 5th wife, Catherine Howard. His 6th wife, Catherine Parr, was the only one to outlive him. But in the end, King Henry got what he desperately wanted, a son. Edward VI became king upon his father's passing. But he died 6 years later, and before his death, he tried to ensure that his Protestant cousin, Lady Jane Grey, would be crowned queen. But she only remained queen for 9 days.
Oh, dang.
In 1553, Mary led an army into London. This put her back on the throne and Lady Jane in the executioner's block. From here, her name as Bloody Mary grew. Queen Mary's biggest priority was to return England back to the Catholic Church. She went on to marry Philip II of Spain. She quashed a Protestant rebellion and reversed many of her father's and brother's anti-Catholic policies. In 1555, she passed a law that punished heretics by burning them at the stake. Mary believed that this law and her strong hand concerning Protestants would force people to return back to the Catholic Church, and it would not take long to do so. But she was in fact wrong. For 3 years, from 1555 to 1558, when Mary died, nearly 300 people were burned alive at her command, and most of these people were poor. So in the beginning, I said Bloody Mary sometimes appears with a baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a reason for that when it comes to Queen Mary. If she appears with the baby, it's said that you can taunt her by saying, quote, "I stole your baby," or "I killed your baby."
What in the hell?
Yep, that's what I thought. I wouldn't be doing that to a ghost, but
No.
have fun.
Right.
This is because Mary had another priority besides bringing England back to Catholicism, and that was getting pregnant. Mary was 37 years old when she took power, and she was determined to produce an heir while she was in reign. But it took a huge twist. She announced that she was pregnant only 2 months after marrying Philip, but her due date came and went, and no baby ever came. She died at the age of 45 with no heir. So her Protestant half-sister, Elizabeth, took power, cementing Protestantism in England. So despite her father being the one to order the deaths of, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
72,000 of his subjects,
What in the hell?
and her sister, Queen Elizabeth, having hanged, drawn, and quartered 183 Catholics.
Wow.
Mary was the one that they truly hated, and the one that was tied to an urban legend. Queen Mary Tudor is remembered as a murderous monster who ordered some 280 known Protestants to the flames. And
Wow.
although this was her favorite punishment, along with hanged, drawn, and quartered, she also beheaded and boiled heretics and Protestants. So she was the first Queen of England, but she was not a very nice Queen of England.
Apparently not.
So Queen Mary I is the most popular reason believed to be behind the Bloody Mary legend. That was her nickname. It makes sense, but she isn't the only one believed to fit the woman in the mirror. In the 1800s, there was a young girl named Mary. An illness fell over the area in which she lived, which would cause people to drop dead after a short period of time. During this time, people were often pronounced dead when they actually weren't. So there was a hole placed inside the coffin with a string connected to a bell, just in case the dead person wasn't actually dead and woke up, because this happened a lot. Mary herself became sick and bedridden. She was slowly dying, and so she was laid into a coffin but not yet buried, because this was easier to put the hole in and to tie the string to her hand when she died. After some time, Mary, as they believed, passed away. Someone came to fill her grave, but soon after, Mary woke up. She pulled the string. Yep, she woke up. Like they go into like a coma state.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and then they just wake up. But back then, it's the 1800s. They didn't know that happened. They just believed, oh, you're dead. Because when you're in a coma, your heart rate and everything go extremely slow. So slow that you can't feel the heartbeat just by feeling someone.
Right.
And they didn't know this in the 1800s. So they assumed they were dead. Well, Mary wasn't actually dead. She woke up, she pulled the string, but no one was there to hear the bell ring. So she pulled and pulled and pulled until the bell fell off, along with the stick that was holding up the bell.
Wow.
She then scratched and clawed at her wooden prison until her fingers bled, until she took her last breath. Her parents arrived home and realized the bell had been moved. They quickly worked to unbury their daughter. Upon unburying her, they found the petrified state of her hands, which looked like claws covered in blood, along with the white dress that she was buried in. They used a mirror to check her breathing, but she was, in fact, despite condensation showing up on the mirror, dead.
Oh, that's horrible.
It is believed that her spirit attached to this mirror. So we're left to wonder, is Mary attached to this mirror alone? Can she travel to any mirror and claw any unfortunate victim daring enough to summon her? Either Mary could be Bloody Mary. But I believe that although Queen Mary is a good fit for the legend, I think the Mary from the 1800s is actually the Mary from the urban legend.
Right.
She died a horrific death, and the manner in which Bloody Mary attacks her victims seems to fit the way in which she died. Much better than Queen Mary.
I have to agree with you.
It's a good story to have a Queen of England, trapped in a mirror and haunting people, but it just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
But the final decision is left to all of you. Is the woman looking back at you the first Queen of England, known for killing over 300 Protestants, or is she a woman who fell ill and was buried alive in her slumber, who is now out for revenge? Before playing this classic sleepover game, I would think twice about playing games with an angry ghost trapped inside a mirror, because you may be the one she decides she wants to join her on the other side of that mirror to be trapped forever.
Goosebumps.
And that is our Halloween spooky episode for this week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Watch for monsters.
And don't kill people.
Please be sure to rate and review so we can make sure we give y'all a podcast you love. Be sure to subscribe so you get notifications each week when episodes air.
If you want to send us a case or a topic suggestion, you can email us at monstroustcpod@gmail.com.
Also, be sure to check out our Facebook page for updates along with information and photos for each week's episodes.